Hello, 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 guys. Welcome to Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour on a Thursday instead of a Friday. Thank you guys for joining us. For those of you first time joining Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour, we're pretty much a platform that helps sharing information, building our women up, and getting us to that next step in life. And today is no exception. Today, we're going to be talking about planning for the future. And what that means is we have attorney Darlene Peters, with us today, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about estate planning. And then we're going to go on and we also have Judith Powell, which she is in insurance and life insurance and mutual funds. So we're gonna pretty much get our life together today, because we all need to get it together. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and bring my ladies up, and they're gonna introduce themselves, and then we're gonna get started. And again, welcome to Bougie Girl. Make sure you guys ask questions for the ladies, leave them in the comments, share, and um, just talk to us, engage with us, ask questions, and just be here, okay? Thank you. And let's go ahead and bring our ladies up. Hi, ladies. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Okay. Hi,
hello
good.
everyone. Can you all hear me? This is Darlene.
Yes, we can hear you, Darlene.
Okay, great. Um, I just want to thank Elena and Miranda for having me on the show again. I was on the show a few weeks ago where I was speaking on the topic of health and wellness. But today I am back on with a different topic, although it does still relate to health and wellness because it is about living and it is about life in the after. So my full-time profession is as an attorney, and I've been a practicing attorney in New Orleans for 22 years. I primarily do civil defense. However, the topic of estate planning is not something that I do. I do have some general knowledge, I do have to say, about the issue, but my goal in being here today is to share some of that knowledge with you. I'm not here to give legal advice, and I'm sure we have people tuning in from various states. So I would always caution you to check your state's laws or check with an attorney in your state if you have specific questions. So what I'm here to do is just to share some principles with you all in terms of planning for tomorrow, planning for now. And I am particularly excited to be here because I know we have an audience of primarily women. So with that being said, women, if you are married, quite often we know that we outlive our spouses. And it's a big issue in the African American female community about managing your finances and managing your property, particularly if your spouse passes away, if your spouse was the primary breadwinner, if your spouse took care of things. So that happens so frequently, and women find themselves just at a crossroads. So not only do you have to grieve the loss of a spouse, but now you have to really kind of wake up and figure a lot of things out that you may have not been handling. So with that being said, this is a way for you to have some thoughts in your mind, and you need to have a dialogue with your spouse if you're married. And if you're not married, there's still some things that you need to consider as well. So I hope to be able to share some of that information with everyone today. But I do want to start off with just a little bit of humor, if I can. Again, this is not my first time being on the show. The first time I did it, I was at home. This time I decided to do it from my office because I thought, the distractions and the lighting is better. I'm better prepared. And Miranda had reminded me again to make sure that I had some earphones, because it's often the best way we can get our message across through these platforms, especially since we're live. So I packed up the earphones this morning. I go to get ready this evening about an hour ago. Earphones are nowhere to be found. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I left it in my car and I didn't grab it. I run to the garage, nowhere to be found. And I'm calling my son. I'm like, okay, I don't know, where can you look around the house for these earphones? I couldn't find them. Lo and behold, I said, well, you know what, maybe I just dropped them. Okay, well, I'll just have to figure some things out. So in the meantime, I'm getting ready to freshen up and put on my makeup. The makeup bag says, hello, look for me. I had placed the earphones in my makeup bag to make sure I wouldn't forget it, and I forgot it anyway. But thankfully, my IT person has an extra set of headphones, so I'm good. But I'm saying all that to say is that is how life happens. Is sometimes we think we're prepared, and we realize we're not. Something catches us off guard, or sometimes we don't prepare because we don't have the instructions. So I thought it was just a good way to open up the show today to let you know, it happens to everybody. Obviously, I can tell you, and you all know, we've been living something that's just been unprecedented for the last few months, which is another reason why I was glad that Miranda and I wanted to present this topic to you, because there's just some things that I've witnessed in this season that have just been really sad. And we don't know what will happen during all of this. We don't know what will happen after this. We don't even know how long this is going to last. So now is the time to try to start getting some things in order. I'm hoping that you all took good care of yourselves from the health and wellness perspective. I'm hoping you all, maybe if you had the benefit of having some bills postponed or some extra money come in from stimulus or whomever, that you use this to your advantage. So just take the time to use this evening as an opportunity to further educate yourself, and we can help you find some resources to help you get yourself on track if you're feeling like you weren't on track. Um, so the first thing I want to speak to you about is a document called a power of attorney. And I'm presuming that our viewing audience is probably adults, so that some of these terms you may have heard before, but you may not be sure what the purpose of it is and why you need a power of attorney. And a power of attorney is basically a document that authorizes someone to act on your behalf. So
Right.
a power of attorney can be a document that covers a wide array of needs, from financial needs to taking care of kids to handling property. And it can also be very limited. You can have it as broad in scope as you like. Typically, I'm just going to use a married couple for the sake of ease, but if you have a married couple, they may each want to execute a power of attorney for the other spouse to handle something in the event that this spouse is unable to make decisions, or maybe there's just something and it's not necessarily illness, but there could be a number of reasons why a person can't conduct affairs on their own. So a power of attorney is one of those safeguards that you can put into place to have someone act on your behalf. It can be a sibling. It can basically be anyone except a minor, anyone who is capable of executing documents and entering into any type of discussions or negotiations. So
Yes.
with that in mind, you want to perhaps research powers of attorney and see if that's something that you will need. If you own property in another state, maybe there's someone, maybe you grew up in Texas, but now you live in Virginia and you have family in Texas. So you want them to be able to rent your property out or manage your property, or maybe you kept a bank account in Texas. You may want to designate someone to conduct some of your affairs on your behalf. So this is not a tool for the wealthy. This is a tool that most likely all of us will need or at some point. Um, so keep that in mind, and we can go over questions if you all have them throughout the discussion as well. And one thing you do need to know about a power of attorney, it is only in effect while the person is alive. Again, what I'm telling you is
Mhm.
Louisiana law, but I'm giving you some general principles that do apply to other states as well. So in other words, once you die, the power of attorney, it dies along with the person who executed it. So it's only giving someone the power to act on your behalf while you are alive. So
Okay.
once you pass, that document is no longer valid. The next document is, or the next tool in estate planning is called a trust. And there is a
Mhm.
myth that trust is another estate planning tool that's good for the wealthy. Again, that is not necessarily the case. Was not the case. Let me just leave that word out. A trust is a way that you can transfer some of the ownership in your property while you're still alive. You can set up certain designations for certain pieces of property while you are alive. And some people, and in some states, it's considered a roundabout way of getting past the probate procedure. In Louisiana, we call it succession, but in every other state, it's referred to as a probate procedure. And it doesn't, in Louisiana at least, it does not quite do that. So in other words, you still have to go through a succession procedure if you die with property, or if there's some assets that someone is trying to have access to. But it is a way to have some things while you are alive for the benefit typically of your heirs. So, for example, you may have insurance proceeds that that you designate your minor child to have, but you want to set certain parameters that, okay, well, they can't access it until they're age 23, or they have it until they complete their college degree. You know, you can set certain guidelines and provisions with that. And typically you also designate someone to assist in administering the trust. So I'll use a family as an example just because it's easier. A husband may designate a wife to manage the trust for the children. So that's one of the common ways that we see trust. If you want to earmark a certain amount of money to make sure you take care of your heirs, and it's also thought of as a way um, to avoid creditors from seizing certain assets of the estate or of the child. If something's in the trust, sometimes there's a provision where it can't be touched. So again, it just depends on your estate. It depends on your situation. It's very unique, but it is a tool that people often use to provide for their loved ones. And the next document, which I think there's a lot of confusion surrounding this, is a living will.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I think this is an important document that's often not explained. I don't know if you've ever had the chance to go to the doctor's office, and sometimes they'll ask you, do you have a living will?
Mm-hmm.
You'll say yes or no, but then if you say no, that's the end of the discussion. If you say yes, they may ask for a copy of it. They may want a copy of it on file, but your average person doesn't know what that means when they ask you about that document. And essentially, a living will expresses your desires about how you want your life to be prolonged in the event you become brain dead, so to speak. Do you want to be your life
Right.
prolonged by artificial measures? Do you not want artificial measures? And it's an important document because quite often, what if you're in a state where you can't make appropriate decisions about your health, somebody has to make those decisions. And it's very rare that family members can come to an agreement on what to do with someone. You know, it's hard to see someone in a state where the doctors are telling you they are likely not to recover from this, or they're physically here, but they can't understand that their quality of life is gone. But I know for me as a Christian, we tend to hold on to hope that
Yeah.
God is going to heal and come through. So we don't want to let someone go, but it's really not our decision to make. It's the person who's in that particular state. So that's the way that you can voice your desires about what you want to happen. And that's a very personal decision. So it's one that you really need to think about how you want to make this decision and designate it in a will, because again, this is a stressful time for family members to make a decision that they have to live with, for the rest of their life. That could have been resolved by just a simple document being executed and having a discussion.
We
Okay.
have a question here for you. It said, can you
Yeah.
use any attorney to enforce these documents, or should you find someone who specializes in this area of law?
I will say it depends. Typically, if it's you do want to find someone who specializes in that, just because they have the expertise and experience to be able to work through the process. If you take someone who is not experienced with this, it's going to be hard for them to get up to speed, so to speak, and figure out the best way to strategize on this. And typically what happens when you ask an attorney who is not familiar with an area of law, the first thing we do is reach out to our colleagues who
Who
may have that
specialize?
experience.
Right.
And sometimes you either have to refer them out or you spend valuable time trying to figure out what you can do to help them. However, not all of us know attorneys in different areas. So it's always good to try to find some resources with an estate planning attorney, someone who does wills, because it's they can be simple instruments to set up, but there's a lot of discussion that often has to go into it. So now's
Right.
the time to start the dialogue and start thinking about how you want things to be handled when you're no longer here. And again, like I said, the living will is something that most hospitals even have a sample on file. That's how easy this document is to get. So sometimes you don't need a lawyer for certain documents. And a living will is one of those documents where I've seen them on hospital websites. I've seen them on various court websites. So uh, take the time and read through it and discuss your wishes with your family. Everything comes down to communication, I will tell you. So just have the dialogue with the people you need to have the dialogue with. And the big topic that I want to talk about are wills. These are so important because if you thought a living will was a way to express your wishes about how you want things to handle when you're not here, the will is it. Okay. Wills can be complex. Wills can be very simple. Again, all of this depends on the size of your estate and how you want to dispose of your assets, how you want things handled. And in Louisiana, we have two types of wills. So you can do a handwritten will in Louisiana because not everyone wants to go to a lawyer to do their will. The courts will accept a valid handwritten will as long as the person is in the right state of mind and hopefully no one will challenge the will. You can literally sit and write your will. Tomorrow you can change your mind and rewrite your will. That's how easy it is.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily recommend that, but that's a good starting place. If your state is a state that has guidelines for handwritten wills, I would say try to go online and see what those guidelines are, and guidelines, and boom, you have a will. But the one thing you also have to remember when you have a will, somebody else is going to need a copy of it, okay? Because a will does you no good if you are the only one with a copy and you die and no one knows where to find the will. So this is, again, another time for you to take stock of who's in your life, who needs access to the document if something happens. It's not doing any good in a lockbox. If you don't want to provide someone with the document itself, you can put it in an envelope, give them the name of if an attorney prepared it, make sure that they have the name of the attorney so that if you pass, they can reach out to the attorney, because attorneys don't know when their clients die quite often.
Right.
Because once someone does a will, you're out the door. And unless someone alerts them unless they really know you, that, hey, this client or this person died, and technically your relationship with a client is confidential, so no one may necessarily know that someone has come to you. Somebody needs to, so that they can determine that the will is valid and that it's the most current will. So again, I encourage you all to just start sitting down and taking a look around you and figure out how you want to handle some of the things in your life. And the reason I bring up some of these documents, particularly things like the power of attorney, is because during COVID, I'm sure the same story is in your respective states. People were ill, people were hospitalized, you couldn't have visitors. So if you needed any document executed, it didn't happen. So I had someone reach out to me and we were trying to get some things in place. If we couldn't get it done while the person was hospitalized, the staff that's not what the hospital staff is there for.
Right.
And the hospital's legal department said, we're here, but that's not what we're here for. So again, just about, there's so many unforeseen things that these documents can help you get some of your affairs in order and get some things in place so that you can have peace. Because I still like to think that even once you pass, that you're somehow with your family and your loved ones, and that you would want to take care of them as best as you could.
Before we go on to the next question, just for everybody who's just coming on, we are talking about preparing for your future, and making sure you're prepared and know what to do to prepare for your, all of us gonna die eventually. So we want to make sure that we have our everything in order for our loved ones, so it won't be stressful for them, and we just have our things in order. So we're talking today with attorney Darlene Peters and with Judith Powell, and she's in life insurance and also mutual funds and things like that. That's very important. So our next question, it says, if you already have a will, do you have to have a lawyer to do a dossier?
Okay,
Docile?
I
Don't say a word.
don't know if I don't know if the name is Joyce could clarify.
Joyce.
That may be a term that's used in another state. I'm not sure that we use it here. So before I answer the question, I want to make sure I understand what she's asking. Um, uh, but I don't know if you mean
I
before
think
we
she has a
distributed.
she
Okay,
said one attorney told me that they no longer require a file to file the will in the state or local court. Is that accurate?
sure. Okay. I will say it depends on the law of your state. In Louisiana, you can record a will, but you don't have to. So it again, it's going to depend on the person's wishes and the laws of your state. So if you think, or if the person thinks that they may be frequently changing the will, if they expect a life change, they may not want to have it recorded. Um, and that's where a lot of times people just do a handwritten will because they don't want to go through the extra steps of trying to formalize the process and then having it all not redone, but having to go through the probate process again. Because quite often you find you still have to, even if you don't own significant property, you may still have to go through the courts to have some type of probate proceeding. And I'll give you an example. I have someone I know whose sibling died. They weren't married, no children, but that person had a bank account. So the siblings are trying to get access to the money, understandably so. You don't want the money to sit there. So now they have to go through some measures in order to get that money. So even if you don't own significant assets or if you think your assets are not significant, sometimes there are still things you need to do to have some things in place. So in that particular instance, maybe you want to have someone maybe you want to set up your bank account where it's payable on death, or if it's someone you really trust, you have them added as a signatory to your bank account. Because now, again, like I said, this is someone who has to now figure out another step in the process while they're grieving to get access to bank proceeds because they're trying to cover some burial costs. So
Hmm.
just think about everything that you possibly can, every scenario to try to cover yourself.
All right.
That makes sense.
And I think I don't want to take up too much of the time because there's a lot of information that ties into what I am telling you that Judith is going to present, and I think it's going to be awesome at giving you some information about the importance of life insurance and why you need to have that in place as part of your estate planning.
Yes, and with that being said, everybody, welcome Judith Powell. I know she's ready. Go ahead and introduce yourself and go ahead and let us know about life insurance. And thank you, Darlene, for giving us that. That was a lot of information that I know I need to start thinking about even at 33.
Well, thank you guys for having me on the platform again. This is my second time being on here, so I definitely appreciate, being able to come on and speak again about what I do. I have been doing this for about 4 years. I do work with life insurance and mutual funds. It's a really important topic that we make sure that, especially, today, I mean, what's going on? We have a pandemic going on.
Mhm.
And so it's a really important topic to make sure that we're educating ourselves about and that we're actually doing what we need to do to prepare ourselves for whatever might happen. And so I did prepare a couple of slides. I'm going to share my screen if I can here, just to help myself get through my talking points. And I think I have it right. Can you guys see this?
I'm gonna pull it up. There we go.
Okay. And so, right now, I mean, we do have, financial challenges that we're actually going through right now. I'm not going to hit on every single topic, but I'm going to hit on the topics that I came before. And, just thinking about right now what we're going through, more than 1/3 of Americans don't have life insurance, right? And then obviously with this pandemic, a lot of people had life insurance just through work. With losing their jobs, I mean, a lot of people are with no life insurance, right? And so this is a very important topic, obviously, to make sure that we're educating ourselves in these areas. I'm going to talk about one more, which is the mutual funds and investments. As far as 47% of Americans have less than 25,000 when it comes to their savings and their investments for retirement, right? And so those are the two main things I'm going to be talking about today. And the main thing with life insurance that you have to start thinking about, where would you be if you didn't have it, right? Passing away, today we think about, GoFundMe accounts. We're thinking about, chicken dinners and T-shirts. So without life insurance, I mean, if you pass away, your family's going to be grieving, right? Your family's going to be having to find money to bury you. finding money to pay off debts, mortgages, car notes, right? Having to find money to, pay off all the loans that you might have. Your family's going to be struggling while they're going through the devastation of actually losing you, right? And so with life insurance, obviously you're still going to be grieving the death of that person, but you're going to be able to have money to pay off those debts. You can focus on grieving and not really worrying about the financial struggle that's actually happening right now, right? And so there are different types of life insurance. I want to kind of pinpoint on this. I mean, a lot of people think about their greatest asset as being their house, things of that nature. But the greatest asset that you have is actually your income, right? Because without your income, the whole financial house, the everything you have around you kind of crumbles, right? And so a lot of families that have no insurance at all, no coverage at all, they're at a very high risk. They have an uncertainty, about what's going to happen. They have a fear. They're kind of worried about what happened. They're doing the GoFundMe's, the chicken dinners, just to bury someone. So they're very unprepared for what might happen in case of this situation. And then we have limited coverage, right? This is insurance that you just have through work, right? So just work insurance. I mean, obviously, this pandemic is teaching us quite a bit. If you just have it just through work, it's owned by that job. It's group coverage, right? And so if you lose your job, you're also going to be losing your benefits, right? And now if you lost your benefits and we're in the middle of a pandemic and you pass away, your family's, and even more for devastation during this time, right? And so, the expert always encourage families to make sure that whatever your job can provide, great. Let your job provide, low cost insurance here or there that they kind of own. Whatever you may need, you want to start owning that privately and having that in place for your family that you can control. There's a thing called cash value, sometimes called whole life, universal life, variable life. It's all the same thing. What it is that it has a savings attached to your life insurance. It's inside, it's together. I always tell families this: look, if you don't have savings inside your car insurance, if you don't have savings inside of your home insurance, you do not need savings built inside of your life insurance, okay? Typically, the policies are a lot more expensive, and the savings that you have built in the side is really not benefiting your family as much as you would think it would benefit your family. And so you have higher protection and it's higher, you have a savings and it's higher the cost. And then we have term insurance, which is a pure form of insurance. Is less expensive, and it's just what it is. It's pure life insurance, okay? And so just to kind of have emphasis on those two types of insurance, cash value versus life insurance, versus buy term and invest, the difference is, like I mentioned, the cost is typically a lot higher. If you have John and Mary, they're both 30 years old, they have 150,000 of coverage on them. They have a savings account connected to that, and they're paying almost $300 a month for this insurance and the savings attached, right? Now, what most insurance companies don't tell you in this instance is that if something were to happen to, let's say something were to happen to John, Mary is going to get that 150,000 of that life insurance, but the savings that she have in that cash value, the company's going to keep that savings. They're going to pay out the 150, but they're going to keep that savings, right? And so you're paying for two things, but at the end, you only get one of those things, right? And about that. So what experts teach, not just myself, but financial advisors, they teach buy term insurance and then invest your money into mutual funds, into investments, right? And so for the same cost, look at the difference here. We have John and Mary the same age. They have a low cost term insurance. Really, right here, you can buy more insurance for less of the cost. It's $400,000 for $126 a month. So just on comparison of life insurance, you're getting way more life insurance for less cost. That's saving you right at $169 a month that you can start investing, right, at a 9% interest. And now you have a little bit over $500,000 in an investment account, right? So now if something happens to John, Mary now gets the life insurance, which is 400,000, and she also gets what's inside of that investment account, right? And so when you look at the two of those things, which program would you want your family to be a part of, right? Making sure they have proper insurance to make sure they can take care of all their needs. A lot of times, families have just enough money to bury that person, $20,000, $50,000. but they don't have, enough coverage that after that person's buried, what happens next? We still got bills next month, right? We still got responsibilities next month after that. We make sure we have the proper amount of life insurance in place for all your family needs, all the goals you have for your family. And then we want to make sure that you get into a place where you can actually have money by the time you retire, right? And so what I teach families is what's called, really how life works and why it's so important to make sure that you understand the responsibilities of decreased responsibilities, right? So when you're in your younger years, let's say you're in your 20s, 30s, even in your 40s, at this stage of your life, you need a lot more coverage, right? Because at this stage of your life, you're kind of building yourself up, you're building your wealth, you're building your life at this stage. Typically, you have things that's really important to you. You have young children. I have that, right? You have high debt. You have a house or mortgage, right? You have other things that's really dependent on your income. So right here, the loss of income is very devastating, right? So right here, you want to have a lot of insurance in place. If anything's going to happen right here, you're able to take care of your family can still get to their financial goals. But at this stage of your life, you also want to start educating yourself and learning how to start saving money right here, right? And so what happens is as you get older, let's say we fast forward 35 years, and now you're in your 60s, now you're in your 70s, right? And this is why we can actually recommend term insurance as opposed to whole life, because here, after that term is over, after the 35-year term, now we're in our later years in our life, the responsibilities that we used to have, our young children, they're now grown and hopefully out of our pockets, right? They're able to take care of themselves financially. The debt that we have is now lower, no mortgage more than 30 years. So now we can pay off the mortgage is paid off. So in this stage of our life, our expenses are a little bit lower, but now we need money to retire, right?
Yeah.
Now we need to start thinking about retirement. Most people, what they do is they spend a lot of money on life insurance. I mean, I've seen policies, 200, 300, $400 for a life insurance policy for a whole life, and you spend all your money on life insurance, and when you get to the end of your years, you have no money, but you have a life insurance policy, right? And so now your family's almost depending, well, hoping that you pass away so that they can get their life insurance policy. Right? We don't want you to depend on life insurance to take care of your family. We want you to take care of your own family by learning how to invest your money and having something in place. Right. So when you start saving early in your life, by the time you get to 65, 70, if you invest the proper way, which I'm going to show you in a second, you have some money at the end of that term insurance where you can actually live and have money that you can actually use. So we teach families really how not to depend on life insurance, but understand how you can have life insurance for protection, but make sure we can start saving some money, right? And
Yeah.
so this is a little thing called the Rule of 72, guys, and this is kind of going a little bit more into the investing side, kind of mutual fund side of it, right? But this is a rule that most people are not aware of. I wasn't aware of it when I first, came to be in this industry, right? But you have to understand the interest on the money, right? That you're investing, that you have, right? If you go to a bank, most banks, think about your savings account at your bank, right? I mean, if you ever looked at it, it's going to average a 0.4% rate of return on your savings. So the money that you're saving in that account is not really growing at a very fast rate, right? It's growing very, very slow. Can you guys still see this?
Mhm.
Yes.
Because I can't even, oh, okay, perfect. I changed it. Can I still move it? Okay. So the money's not really growing at a very high rate. It's growing very slowly. But the banks are, hold on, I lost my place. Can you guys still see it?
Yeah, we can see it. There you
Okay,
go.
perfect, right? And so with this, the banks are giving you a 0.4%. But what the banks do is the money that you have in that savings account, they take that money and they reinvest your money into the global economy. And now they're earning 9 to 12% rates off of your money, right? And so let's say you were to go to a bank, right, and the banks offer you a 3% rate of return, which most banks are not doing that, right? But let's just say they did do that and they offer you a 3% rate of return. Let's say you had $10,000 that you wanted to actually invest, right? The rule says that whatever interest rate you get on your money, you divide it by 72 and it tells you how many years your money is going to actually multiply, right? So if you look at that, right, if you had $10,000, that $10,000 is going to multiply in 24 years because 372 is 24. And then it's going to multiply again in another 24 years. So in a 48-year period, your money has doubled two times, right? So think about it. If you had $5, right? It would take 24 years for your $5 to turn into $10, right? And so it's growing very slow in this instant. Now, if you look at what the bank's getting, right? If it's the same $10,000, now at a 12% rate of return, 12 into 72 is now multiplying every 6 years, right? So that same $10,000 is multiplying every 6 years, is doubling all the way down. But at the end of that 48-year period, there's $2.5 million while you're barely getting 40,000,
Mhm.
right? And so I tell people this, how can you really win the game when it comes to money if you don't know all the rules to that game, right? And so we're educating people on how to do this, right? And just to kind of bring the it all home, right? I have two examples here of let's just say twin brothers. We're gonna call them John and Bill, right? And let's just say Bill, John, which is brother A. Let's just say Avery and Bill because it makes it easier because A and B, right? But let's just say Avery was not aware of this rule of 72, and he went to the bank, and the bank was very generous. The bank said, you know what? Your grandmother has been banking with us for all of her life. So we're going to actually bless you with actually 4%. No one else is getting 4%, but you're going to be getting 4% because your grandmother, was with us and we're going to bless you with that, right? But if we use the same rule of 72, it says that even at a 4% rate of return, that money's going to double every 18 years. So let's just say both these brothers was 29 years old. They grandfather gave them $25,000 and said, invest this money, it's yours to do it. And they were so excited. So the brother Avery went to the bank, put his money into that 4% rate of return, and was super excited. Said, hey, I'm investing my money, right? So every 18 years, now he's 47, his money finally doubled, right? And now he's 50, 60, 65, his money doubled again. So in all that time, his money's doubled two times. Now he has $100,000, right? So now he's ready to retire. What they're going to do, they're going to take that same 4% and divide it into that money. So now he's going to be getting $4,000 a year off of that money that he invested over all that time, right? And so if you look at Brother B kind of said, I know a little bit more about investing, a little bit more about how this stuff works. And so he goes and he gets inside of a mutual fund, gets inside of an investment, averaging a 12% rate of return, right? And now his money's doubling every 6 years, right? So now at the age of 35, his money doubled. 41, his money doubled. 47, his money doubled. All the way up to 65, his money doubled. Now he has $1.6 million, while his brother over here has $100,000, right? And so if you were to take 5% of his money, right, and say, I'm going to take 5% of this money now and I'm going to divide it out over my life, he's going to get about $80,000 a year to live off of, right? So how much of a difference is that just by knowing the rule of 72, right? And so that's kind of a little bit of a just an education on how these things work. I'm not sharing, Elena.
No, you're good. We can see you.
Did it stop sharing?
Yeah, you stop sharing it.
Okay,
Yes.
good, good. And so, my whole thing is, guys, learn how to use your money wisely. Protect yourself for what you need to protect yourself for. Obviously, we are going through some very different times right now with this pandemic and what we got going on. I sit down with so many families that are unaware of. They know that they need life insurance. They do know that, right? But they just don't know what to do. They don't know what plans. They got a lot of stuff out there that's really confusing for families on what to get, what not to get, how to get, and they want to make sure their family's protected. And so somebody can come in there and just sell anything to somebody just because they know that people are panicking right now. They know that people need these things in place. And so people are buying things. People are buying life insurance. But truly, truly, truly educate yourself on the proper life insurance. Term insurance is really all you need for a short term, and then learn how to start using your money wisely and investing that difference, right? And so if there's any questions, I would love to answer questions, but that's pretty much, my take on buy term and invest the difference, guys. Protect yourselves and then learn how to start investing so you can have some money after that's over.
That was really good. Really good information. I'm so excited. I'm about to start my wheel and we gonna talk soon, Judy. She been trying to get me to do a mutual fund for like the last
Girl,
Last like 4 years, 4, 5 years.
Hey, I'm telling you, that's gonna be a difference. Look, that's the sister over there that want to just sit. I'm gonna be the sister with the
But if I can comment on what you said about the importance of life insurance, and life insurance is important. So you have to have something in place. And I know sometimes people, um, Judith probably can attest to this, when you're talking to people about it, they want to think about it, they are not sure. But sometimes we, as me, as an attorney, and Judith perhaps as an insurance advisor, we are going to put some pressure on you because you don't know when you're going to die. So
Yeah.
you have to make life insurance is one of those things that you really cannot procrastinate on. Just think about, Judith, I'm sure there's some people who you spoke to before COVID who were on the fence or needed to think about it. And then COVID happened. I don't know if they were even writing life insurance policies. I'm sure now policies are higher than they were. So that's why it's so important to act now. And that's why we are here, is to try to emphasize some of these points
absolutely.
to you all, because even though, like Judith said, life insurance is not a tool to, we don't necessarily look at it as an investment, but it can be a tool that can help create generational wealth, because
Absolutely.
it can relieve some of the debt that your family is facing. And let's be real, I know most of us, our finances are tight pre-COVID. A lot of us don't just have money flowing. And I'm an attorney, and I will admit it, because I have 3 kids. I have one in college. I have one in private school who's getting ready to go to college. So money is not free flowing in the Peters household. But imagine, and I'm married, and I have 3 kids. So as hard as it is for me as a unit with two people in the household, imagine if one person was not there.
Mm-hmm.
It would be not only the family would have to deal with the loss of a family member, a critical family member, but then there's also the financial,
Absolutely.
and you just don't want to be faced with that. You just don't want to compound the grieving process. That's how I look at it. You compound.
Alina, I tell them all the time. I tell them all the time. They tell me, things are kind of tight right now. I say, well, listen, honey, if things are tight now, what would happen if you lost that
Yes,
income? How much worse would it be if you lost that income? And
absolutely.
I'm having people, they just lost their jobs, they're just going through this, they're going through that, and money is tight right now, and I get
Yes.
that. But people are still paying for cable.
Yeah.
Right.
People are still spending money on things that they don't need right now, right? And so
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, your cable's not going to take care of you if something happens to you. Cut the cable
Absolutely.
off. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Right.
do what the responsibility of what's right for your family. And I also get people saying, right now may not be the best time to actually invest right now. But if you think about it, guys,
It's the perfect
think
time.
think about this. When is the best time to invest? When the market is high and
Right.
everything's up, or when the market's on sale,
Right.
right? Everything's down right
Absolutely.
now. Because if you went to the
Absolutely.
store right now and let's say water,
Mhm.
bottled water, right? And one month bottled water is $10 a bottle, right? It's $10 a bottle for bottled water. And the next month it goes down to 1 penny. How much water would you buy? You know what I'm saying? How much water would you buy? You'll buy the
Right.
whole store if you could, because it's
Yes.
1 penny, right?
Absolutely.
Because you know that next month it's going to go back up to what, $10, and now you got
Yeah.
a whole store in your room, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with saving money and investing. Is that right now the market is down right now, right?
Yes.
If you start saving
Absolutely.
your money, learn how to save your money, the market's going to go back up. You're going to benefit a lot more off of that growth,
Yes.
right? You knew when was the right time to start saving some money. You don't gotta save a lot, $25 a month. Do something to understand how you can start helping yourselves. Right? What
Hmm.
That's your mama. She said,
oh
"Come
my
get the rest of my money."
just ignore it.
That is so true. I mean, and sometimes, it just takes a lot. I'm not professing that everybody should, I think they should certainly consult a financial um, expert. So don't try to do it all on your own, but also take the time to try to educate yourself. And just like you
Absolutely.
said, now is the time. The economy is going to rebound. So guess what happens when people start to travel and fly again? So look at some airline stock. And I always say, look at the things that you buy. So
Yes.
I tell my kids all the time, oh, you like Nike? You want to put the money in their pocket? Why don't you learn how to invest and buy some stock in Nike? Because then you
Yes.
have part ownership in the company. So Starbucks.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many
Mhm.
companies, just the everyday companies. It's not even, rocket science. But
And
again,
I'll be honest with
you
you,
got to be professional.
Darlene,
Hmm.
when it comes to how, I mean, people honestly, people are scared of the stock
Right.
market. They don't
I
understand it,
understand.
and so you have to understand, there's difference between stocks and mutual funds.
True, too.
It's a big difference, right?
Right.
And so a lot
Right.
of times people, when you buy one stock, even if it is Nike, even if it is, airlines or Apple, you put all your money in that one stock. When that one stock drops, your money
Right.
goes with it. So you
Right.
ever heard, your grandparents say, don't put all your eggs in one basket,
Yes.
right? And so a mutual fund, what it is a mutual fund is a portfolio of many stocks. And when you invest inside of a mutual fund portfolio, you're investing in not just Nike itself, but Nike, travel, you invite all of them together in
Right.
one mutual fund,
Right.
right? So if one company goes down, all your money is not going down. Right. And so,
Absolutely.
and so you're able to really still see some, you're able to really start seeing some things happen. And it makes you less likely to be nervous
Yes.
about investing your money,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so I think this is a really important topic. Obviously making sure that people are understanding it. I talk from a kindergarten level, y'all. There's some people they're scared to talk to advisors because they talk over their heads, and
Yeah.
if you don't understand what somebody's talking about, what. So
Right.
I'm not talking to you like you're in college. I'm talking to you like you're in kindergarten. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we gonna be on the same page and we understand, you know, this thing in a whole new way, right? So,
Yes.
great conversations to be had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do need to add one more thing about life insurance as it relates to the estate planning aspect is, so when you have a life insurance policy, you have to list beneficiaries or beneficiary. So
Mm-hmm.
what we often find in the when something passes is, a lot of times we go through a life change and we don't update our insurance policies. So sometimes an ex-spouse is still the beneficiary. Sometimes you may have more children and one of the children is not added as a beneficiary. So maybe just make it a point every year to review your important documents and make sure they reflect your wishes, because it's really hard
Absolutely.
to challenge documents such as life insurance policies, because the thinking is you prepared it and this is what you wanted to do. So keep that in mind when you're examining your family situation.
And a very important note on that, the Darlene, is that a lot of people they name beneficiaries, but then they don't tell the beneficiary that they are the beneficiary, right? And
True
so
too.
I'm important to make sure that, hey, we want to educate, because a lot of insurance claims go unclaimed because no one says, hey, that person passed away, because they didn't know
Right.
that they were the beneficiary, right? And so you want to make sure that you're letting your people know, you don't got to tell them the amount you don't got to tell them the amount, you don't got to tell them anything, but just say, hey, if something happens to me, this is the information that you need to contact your insurance company.
Right. Right.
Make
Very
sure
good.
yeah, because
Very good.
otherwise it's going to go and claim because they never got that death certificate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
And look, and another thing, don't lie on those insurance applications. That's my legal advice for
Come on.
and I will tell you this, because I have seen instances where some of the matters that we've had here, where someone dies and the beneficiary goes to collect on the policy and something comes up in the person's health history, and they will deny that death benefit. They may return the premium. So you may have had a $200,000 policy. Okay, but you didn't disclose that this person had this condition or this procedure or something along the lines of what's in the questionnaire. So I've seen insurance companies say, you can't get the 200,000. We'll give you back what you paid or part of you paid. But essentially, when you lie, that's misrepresenting information, and the condition could have been unrelated to the person's death.
Yeah, yeah.
But when
This is
you lie
where you
on that
need to be
application,
really
if it's
helpful
discovered,
about those fine lines of what's inside your policy. I can't speak on all insurance companies. I can't, but typically there is a 2-year incontestability period.
mm-hmm,
And so, after that 2 years, if you did have a misrepresentation on your life insurance, they can't really contest something
right,
after a 2-year period. But like I said, it's going to depend on that insurance company. You want to, most people, honestly, guys, most people get a policy in place and they put it in their closet and never read it. They
Yeah.
don't,
Right.
they don't know the fine lines of that policy and what. You need to stop playing. And so you want to sit down with somebody, and read the fine lines of what you have in your policy. Be well aware. I've seen policies where they have an accidental death policy.
Yes.
Inside of the policy, there's exclusions on how you can die, and you cannot die from an
Right.
accident. So you want to make sure you know what's inside your policy and what you're paying for. You don't want to be getting to the site and say, oh, how did they die? Did they die by accident so I can get more money because they died by accident? Did they lose a limb? You don't want to have to worry about all of that, when it comes down to how your company's going to pay out for you.
Absolutely.
That's really good information. So before we go, because it's getting to that time, and I know Judy has some things to do. Judith, I'm sorry. um, Go ahead and let everybody know how they can find y'all, reach out to you guys if they want to ask more questions, and get some information from you guys personally. How can they find you, Judy?
You can reach out to me by my cell phone. Do I have to put the number out there, or do I
If you
just
want
put
to
it out?
do that, but you know we're gonna blow up one day, so millions of people gonna have your
My
information.
word, right?
Mhm.
Hey, so my number, 713 542 1506. You can email me, Judith A. Powell 325 at gmail.com. Those are the best ways. I'm always available for information. So by all means,
Judith A. Powell at
gmail.com. 325 at Gmail.
Judith A. Powell
Judith
325.
A. Powell 325 at gmail.com.
Okay. And you said 713. Your phone number.
Oh, it's out there, 713 542 1506.
And no, I don't know about heart by now.
You should. That's a shame.
I should. And how can they reach out to you, Darlene?
My name, okay, it's my name, Darlene Peters, and then note the spelling. It's DARLEENE Peters at gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you are a viewer, maybe put something like Bougie Girl in the subject line, because we get bombarded with emails and sometimes they go to junk. So I want to be able to uh,
Right.
see the email and respond as best as I can. Darlene, it's DAR.
Oh, my bad.
Like,
I knew it because I sent you your email today. So let me fix that.
that's okay.
DARL.
I prefer email. I hope the viewers don't mind. And again, in all likelihood, I probably won't be able to give you specific legal advice. I can give you maybe just some general information. And again, if you're outside of Louisiana, I would more than likely encourage you to consult an attorney for your respective state.
Yes.
But I'm happy to
And
do what I can. So.
Judith is in Houston, Texas,
I'm
for
in
all you
Texas. That's right.
Houstonians and Texans out there. She's able to set you up guys with policies and give her a call. And I'm gonna be giving her a call about mutual funds because
I'm not talking to you.
no, it's not really me. You know, it's my husband, but he actually started talking to me about investments and stuff
Let me tell
lately.
you.
So I'm like, about time. So we gonna talk to you.
Good. Judith,
Mm.
can you write policies outside of Texas? Can you work with people
Um,
out of Texas? Or
I'm licensed in more than one state right now. It just depends on the state that you're in.
What states are you licensed in?
Well, right now, it's Texas and New York, but because of what's going on, they are issuing temp licenses in other states, and I can easily get my license appointed in other states.
okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much. Just abundance of information. I appreciate both of you guys coming on here and sharing your knowledge. I've learned a lot. I have a lot to do, and I'm sure a lot of people who's watching it now and on the replay have a lot to think about and a lot to do. And hopefully they'll write notes. um, and again, we're Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. For those of you who don't know, Bougie stands for bold, one of a kind, unbothered, which means we're just unbothered what people may think about us, and we just live our lives. We're God's girls, we're intentional, and we're elegant. And we like to ask all of our guests, how do you identify as being a bougie girl? What part of bougie do you guys identify with? you, Darlene?
Oh goodness, which part? All of it. I would think I've just been encouraged. I've been learning about Miranda and her mission, so I think I've been into all of the letters.
And
I'm
you,
still working
Judy?
on them all.
And you, Judy?
Well, you already know, I'm definitely the B. I'm definitely bold.
Mm-hmm.
And,
All your
so
life.
you already know who I am, right? And I would say I'm very intentional, and I'm very intentional about my life and what I want out of it. And so definitely, I think that that's what I identify.
Okay,
Okay, I'm
excellent.
working on the B. Let me just be clear. I am working on the B.
I am too. I am too. Judy's always been the bold one. I always been like
Uh-oh.
kind of back, back in a corner.
Mhm.
But thank you again for being on here, guys. And for those of you who don't know, make sure you like and follow Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. And we also our t-shirts are actually up for sale. You can go and get them. I'm gonna put this is it says pre-sale, but this is actually how the t-shirts look. And we also have a total of 8 designs. This is one of them. And it says I'm bougie, and it has all the words that I just said on there. And we have one that says I'm bold bougie, I'm one of a kind bougie. So we have a plethora of shirts for however you identify your bougie. And it's on for sale. You can just go to our page, and we have the link there. So, you know, thank you for
Thank
just
you for
being here
having us.
with us. And, this is great. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And everybody else, be blessed, be safe, get your life orders in order as soon as possible. Do not wait because we don't know the day or the hour, right?
Absolutely.
So just be blessed, be great, and let's, conquer the world.
There you go. I like that.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.